Everyone hated Melvin.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this mop and shove it down your throat.
They teased him.
I want to do it with you. Okay.
They taunted him. They tormented him until he had a horrifying accident and fell into a vat of nuclear waste, transforming little Melvin into a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength. Melvin became the Toxic Avenger, the first superhero born out of nuclear waste. Yes, the muggers and the rapists didn't know what law and order was until the Toxic Avenger came to town.
Holy shit!
I don't know what it was, but it saved my life.
All right, everybody, drop your tacos or I'll blow your brains out.
The vandals and the perverts had their way with the little people of Tromaville until the Toxic Avenger ripped them apart. The Toxic Avenger. His face is so terrifying. We can't show it to you now. You'll have to see the movie for yourself. The Toxic Avenger can bend steel with his bare hands.
Oh, we're on a kid. Get it?
Leap small cars in a single bound. He crushes drug pushers. Smashes hit-and-run drivers. And gives all criminals their just desserts. The Toxic Avenger.
He was a hero.
He's a hero. He's a fighter. He's a lover.
Well, Melvin, you're beautiful.
The good citizens love him. The fat and corrupt hate him.
Kill that bastard for me. You gotta kill him.
Yeah.
Will he survive? For incredible explosive action, you must see the Toxic Avenger. He's a different kind of hero. The Toxic Avenger is coming to your town. Look out.
Greetings, my fellow citizens of Tromaville. I am your host, VideoVomit. Today is a very special episode. I get to talk about my favorite superhero from New Jersey. It is the Toxic Avenger. Before we talk about the Toxic Crusader toy line and stuff that we're going to look at today, I wanted everyone to learn a little bit about the Toxic Avenger. I'm sure many of you have seen the movie. But I'm sure many of you haven't. So, and I always love a good opportunity to talk about Toxie himself. So let's just get right into it. The Toxic Avenger came out in New York midnight screenings in cinemas in 1984. It was produced by the extremely awesome Troma Entertainment. Troma Entertainment has been making sleazy, low-budget cinema movies since 1974. Some of those movies might be, you might know as Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, Class of Nukem High, Surf Nazis Must Die, Rabid Grannies, Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. Those are just a few. I have some of the titles behind me because, I'm a huge Troma fan. I love Troma movies. They're the best. But their mascot and like their figurehead, the most popular has always been Toxie. That's kind of what propelled Troma into the popularity that it does have. VHS and video stores is really how I would say the Toxic Avenger gained its massive popularity. At the time, seeing movies like this and stuff wasn't like the main priority. Not to mention kids the younger audiences, which were really into horror movies, but they couldn't go see them. That's why video stores and rental stores were so great back in the 80s and early 90s and mid 90s, because a lot of the times you were just a kid, or you're a young person and you're trying to see these movies, you're trying to see these trauma movies, you're trying to see I'll just say the Grim Reaper. You're trying to see Grim Reaper, you're trying to see, all these disgusting, video violence, you want to see Faces of Death, you're trying to see the maximum amount of violence, you're trying to see the maximum amount of gore in movies and stuff, and Trauma was a great, they contributed heavily to the direct-to-video market, so that really did help, kids and other people, that were looking for these movies. It really helped them because, a lot of times the movies that you were trying to see, they were rented or something, and then you go, oh, what is this? Oh, Toxic Avenger, this looks like crap. Let's rent this. So I would say that, Toxic Avenger, definitely the video stores and VHS boom and all that stuff, that did absolutely marvels for Trauma and the Toxic Avenger. I mean, it helped spawn the multiple sequels that came out for Toxic Avenger as well. So you saw the trailer, but like I said, some of you may not have seen the movie. So I'll talk a little bit about the movie. I'm not going to get too deep into it or ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it. If you haven't seen it, please, I don't know why you're watching this. You should just watch The Toxic Avenger. It's really about this 98-pound nerdy boy named Melvin. He's a mop boy. He's a janitor at the local Tromaville health center. From what's going on inside the health center, it's not too healthy, but and you'll know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. So he's tormented by these group of delinquents by Wanda, Slug, Julie, and Bozo. Wonderful names. They not only relentlessly pick on him, on Melvin, but they also, just a laundry list of things they do. They rob people, they run over a kid, GTA style, on his bike. They do lots of horrible things, and so they're not likable whatsoever. So you don't feel bad for these people that are like gonna get their comeuppance by the Toxic Avenger. So I thought, so one of these pranks, Melvin jumps out of a window. So Melvin gets tricked into kissing a sheep. Oh, Julie! Oh! So Julie lures him into the bathroom, and they get him to kiss a sheep in the dark, and he's like so embarrassed. They get him to wear a tutu as well, and so he's like so embarrassed, and they're like chase him around the health club, and he jumps out the window, and he lands right into the back of a truck. The truck drivers are doing cocaine, which is very interesting. So Melvin falls into the truck, into the barrel of toxic waste, and then he like writhes around in pain. His skin's melting off. He's like, his face is peeling off. Lots of grossness. And I love the part where Bozo, I believe, Bozo's like, he's faking it, Julie. Dude's like burning alive. He's like peeling his own face off, and Bozo's just like, he's faking it, Julie. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. So it has like this wonderful sense of humor. Any trauma movie has a sick and twisted sense of humor. So that's something to expect out of those. It kind of has a meta narrative as well, where it'll like kind of like refer to itself being in a movie as well. A lot of those trauma movies are kind of like that. And so poor Melvin, he runs down the road on fire, and and he finally makes it home, but he jumps in the tub, and his skin starts to morph and warp and bubble out, and he turns into a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength known as the Toxic Avenger. And so now that you know about the movie, you can learn about the children's cartoon TV show spin-off, the Toxic Crusaders. We have the intro to the cartoon, and I'd love for you guys to see it. So I think we'll load that up, and then we'll play that right now.
Crusaders, toxic Crusaders. I had no friends, no girls that hugged me till I got radioactive ugly. Toxic Crusaders, toxic
Toxic Crusaders. Man, what a catchy song. So the Toxic Crusaders aired for the first time in the summer of 1990, then later on in January of 1991. The show was about Toxie and his mutant friends fighting pollution. It was one of many cartoons at the time that was focused on environmental awareness, and like shows like Captain Planet and as well as let's see, Ninja Turtles, Swamp Thing. You know, so at the time, like the early 90s, it was very like, oh no, like we gotta be, and Toxic Avenger too. A lot of the Trauma movies had to do with radioactivity or toxic waste in some sort of fashion or another, like Class of Nukem High. There's weed that grows by the nuclear power plant, and they're selling it to kids at the high school, and some unsuspecting effects happen to the kids that smoke said radioactive weed. So, you know, Trauma has kind of really been using that like radioactivity, the whole like, which was huge in the 80s, you know, with and maybe even before then, you know, with like the classic monster movies, you know, like with the giant ants and stuff like that. That was, you know, all because of radiation, radioactivity and stuff as well. But yeah, like in the early 90s, a lot of cartoons, especially Captain Planet, they were pushing that whole like, you know, recycle, all that sort of thing. So this was supposed to kind of be like Trauma, and it was supposed to be like their big like, oh, like look at this, we're helping the environment, where kids are learning, you know, we got our characters out there. It was supposed to be like a big like moneymaker kind of for Trauma, but it didn't end up that well. It didn't run very long in the U.S. It never went into syndication, so it never like the reruns, the constant like Ninja Turtles. You know how like Toonami kind of that's kind of what syndication is, right? Like they get all they buy the license to these shows to premiere and show on their channel, and then you know that's how the people get money for it. So that kind of never really happened. I do remember the channel G4. I don't know if anyone knows what the hell I'm talking about, but the channel G4, the gamer television network that was around for a very small amount of time. I loved G4, and I remember seeing the Toxic Crusaders show on there for a little while. They played like I think like the first 1 or 2 episodes like over and over and over again. They had a very small amount of money to get. You know, so they like I remember at the end of G4's leg, they played like a ton of cops and stuff. Should have played more Toxic Crusaders. So I didn't really have any idea about like the Toxic Avenger or the Toxic Crusaders for the longest time until I started getting hand-me-downs from my cousins, and like hand-me-downs as in like toys, clothes, movies, stuff like that. And you know, that's how I found about Ninja Turtles, or well, I knew about Ninja Turtles before then. I was buying Ninja Turtles toys all my life, but it was really how I found about like He-Man and Thundercats, like by getting all like just it was like a birthday, Christmas, all wrapped into one. You know, getting stuff from my cousins because it was all like their old toys, and they actually kept everything, which was really nice. As soon as they came to me, all the accessories and everything got lost. But yeah. In those boxes, I had a Bonehead and a Toxie, and I was like, "What are these? These look and feel like Ninja Turtle figures, but they're not." And so, what? Like, I've never seen these before. They're not in the cartoon, or what's going on? And so, eventually, I found out that they were Toxic Crusaders. I was able to, you know, get one of the VHSs. I think there was like, I don't think that they made a lot of them. I think it was just like it was called The Making of Toxie, and then they had like 1 or 2 episodes on there. I'm not really sure. That was a very long time ago. But yeah, so I thought that this is the perfect way to segue into talking about some of the incredible toys that were made by Playmates. So we have 2 commercials to look at. So we're going to look at the first one real quick here. And yeah.
Crusaders,
It's Dr. Killamore, the evil alien who wants to pollute the whole world. He's gonna smogify every tree in Tromaville. But look who's gonna stop him. It's Toxie, the trendy yet hideously deformed leader of the Toxic Crusaders. How does he do it? He's toxic but tasteful. This grime fighter really comes up with the works with his ever-faithful mom. They're gross, but they're gonna clean up the world. Toxic Crusaders. Hideously deformed action figures and toxic waste, each sold separately from Playmates.
So that's really crazy. I find it very crazy that these toys even were made. We have the other commercial that we'll be able to pull up here as well, and we'll take a look at that one as well. This one has more so the other characters rather than just the main bad guy, main good guy. So let's take a look at those.
The Toxic Crusaders have two new members, Junkyard, a mutation with a taste for doggy bones, and Headbanger, half mad scientist, half party animal. They've joined to keep Dr. Killamore and Psycho, his cybernetic sidekick with a bionic brain, from polluting and conquering the Earth. Also because good guys get the babes.
You don't have to be toxic to be popular, but it helps.
Toxic Crusaders. They're gross.
But they still get girls. Hideously deformed action figures from Playmates.
So that is crazy. So just the fact, I always think about this, just the fact that the toys, a cartoon show, all this stuff was spun off of the Toxic Avenger. Like one of the goriest, most weird, messed up movies that you could probably find on the video store shelves at the time. They were like, okay, let's make a cartoon, let's make toys out of this. Now, when you think about it, Playmates, sculpts and everything with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line, those were actually pretty gross. They did have, elements of weirdness to them. I have two Ninja Turtle figures right here that we can look at. And down here, these figures are from the Ninja Turtles line, but I just wanted to show these because this'll translate into the actual figure line very nicely. This is Mutagen Man. A Mutagen Man transformed by Mutagen, by the retro Mutagen from Ninja Turtles. But as you can see here, he's just like a thing, like a container with like guts, the innards, brain, eyeball, lungs, like all that stuff. And that's really gross for a kid. Like, I don't think a toy like this would be made now for children. He's got radiation burns all over his skin. He's mutated. He's gross. He's weird. This toy was awesome as a kid. Like, you look at this guy and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so he also has like stuff inside of him, kind of jiggling around in there. Maybe you can hear that. They're like, it's like little extras. It's like a turtle and a bone and a wrench and stuff. Playmates was notorious for doing stuff like that with their tiny sculptural details and just getting really into it and doing like wacky kind of like weird stuff like that. But also being gross and kind of, very cutting edge at the time. And we've also looked at him before in the Slime Toy episode, Muckman. But I just, like, again, this guy could probably fit in. He kind of is Toxic Avenger-esque. Like, he would fit right in with the Toxic Crusaders toy line, let alone the cartoon show. But yeah, again, with him, he's gross looking. He has lots of disgusting, like, there's a hole. You can see his guts. You can see his like trachea hanging out. He's got a teddy bear lodged inside his stomach. He's got spiders, bugs crawling all over him, worms. He's got his brain on with a banana peel on top of it. This guy was really gross. You can see his bones sticking out. Like this is like, these toys were like my favorites. I really absolutely love the Ninja Turtles and I love getting like all the different variations of them. But toys like this were like what I loved the brand, the toy line for and stuff. So when I got that box full of toys from my cousin, and it was just full of amazing Ninja Turtle figures, amazing, Masters of the Universe, all that stuff like I was talking about before. But I got toys like Toxie and Bonehead, and I was just like, these are amazing. They're gross looking, they're disgusting, they're, monsters and stuff, and I always loved stuff like that. So from then forth, I was obsessed. I didn't really, trying to watch the cartoon and stuff was a real pain at the time because, tracking down a tape, I didn't even really know about it that much. All I knew was because of Toxie's shield that said Toxic Crusaders on it. That's the only reason that I found it out, and on the bottom of their feet, you can find out when it was made and who made it and stuff. And so I just kind of used my Toxie and Bonehead to play along with my Ninja Turtles figures for the longest time. So I didn't really know that much about the cartoon show. It was really more or less the toys that really got me interested. So then later on, you know, I could find out here and there what kind of went into that line. And now I have a good number of them. So I'm going to show them off here today. Let's put these guys down here on the ground. And then I think what I want to do is I have some carded figures that I got recently. And so I want to take a look at those. And we'll go through those, and that'll be a lot of fun. So let's look at the good guys first. And so it is only fitting to take a look at the guy who started it all for me and for the line and everything. Toxie. Toxie himself. This is the Toxic Avenger. This is what the Toxic Avenger packaging and everything look like. This probably has the best, one of the absolute best packaging on a toy. I would say this is probably my favorite toy packaging of the 90s because of how brightly lit it is. On the back here, we'll go over most of them. It has, on the side here, it has Toxie's like little cutout bio. That was pretty common with toys after G.I. Joe had kind of made that really popular. And then, you know, like any other good packaging, you can see all the other figures you can get in the line. And then up here it has a rundown of all his different accessories and stuff, including Blobby, a glow-in-the-dark Blobby. You might have seen that in the trailer, and if you watch the cartoon, then you'll know exactly who Blobby is. And then also I thought it was really funny that in the cartoon, Toxie's mop is like sentient. Moppy is like, it has like a personality. It's like his pet too, so it's very, very weird. And then more up here is a little comic of Melvin's, you know, his transformation into Toxie. And then it'll have some more down here, you know, more about him and his bio and all that stuff. So that's really cool. The packaging is just exquisite, simply exquisite. It's a real shame to open them right now, but I'll tell you why we're opening them. Because this guy is literally falling off the card. He doesn't have much time before he comes completely off. Look at that. Look how easy this is going to be. Okay, so I have 3 carded figures, so we're going to look at those, and then I have a bunch of loose stuff, so we'll look at that after as well. So we're going to open Toxie first. This will be super easy. Just popped right off. So here's the card by itself. You can see the big globe on the back, you know, really just going for that whole environment awareness sort of thing. And then also these were made by Playmates. Playmates, you know, Playmates toys. They made the Dick Tracy figures. They made the Star Trek figures after Mego did. And then they made, of course, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures. So, yeah. So we'll put this packaging aside. And then we got our little tray here with our Toxie on it. And Toxie has endured. Wow, really tight leg joints on this one. I see a lot of Toxie figures out in the wild or on people's Instagrams or photos or whatever, and this leg always seems to trouble them. His like leg joint sticks out a little too far, and it prevents him from standing well, or the leg is really loose. This Toxie very, very stiff, so that's a good thing. So I'll take out the rest. Here's that shield I was talking about that he came with that lets you know exactly which cartoon this dude is from. That's like, I guess it's like the same as like a soldier, and he's like, you know, he's got his American patch on or something, but it's just really weird for like the Ninja Turtles. I don't know, it's just weird to me that like they just like go around advertising on their shields of like what they are. I guess it's just kind of 90s toys sensibilities and stuff, so that's fine. And then he's got his awesome mop here with the flag attached. I didn't know until I started like looking at the package figures later on eBay and stuff. I didn't know that they just had this like American flag sticker just hanging off of it. I find that very, very amusing. It's just like, what can we do to make him more likable? He's so ugly and weird. People are gonna think he's a bad guy or something. Well, let's give him the American flag. There's nothing more heroic than than the, the American flag. And then finally, we have some of his last accessories here. He's got this bandeau kind of thing going on, and I think, yeah, it holds all of his little grenades here. Are they cleanup grenades? Because he's trying to clean up the town. I don't know if they're like, were they pine sol grenades? I don't know. But then, so you kind of wrap the bandeau around Toxie here, and then you have all the canisters hanging off. But what this thing is actually good for, there's a little peg right here. And so each one of these figures came with like a little glow-in-the-dark packaged accessory. They had blind bags before blind bags was a thing, even though that, you know, everyone, each figure kind of had, there was no like variety. It was whatever accessory they got was what was supposed to be with them. So glow-in-the-dark blobby, little blob man goes right on this peg here, so he can kind of sit on Toxie's shoulder. So there's our Toxie. So he has pretty standard articulation of what you'd find in a 90s Ninja Turtle figure. Ball jointed legs, which was very revolutionary at the time. You know, he's got the two jointed arm here where it twists and then it goes up and down. His head, you know, goes back and side to side. Same thing for the other arm here. And but I just wanted to talk about how good, you know, Playmates. You know, I talked about the other Ninja Turtle figures just a minute ago, but with these figures as well, they did a killer job at sculpting. I'll just take off some of his stuff here so it's not so distracting. Like he's got all these like growths and sores and all this really nasty stuff, just like how the Toxic Avenger really did look like in the movies and really did look like in the cartoon. So he kind of has this like mixed aesthetic. He has this like, I don't know why they chose bright orange. I guess it looks like, you know, bright and flashy and stuff, and it kind of coincides with the packaging. But you know, Toxie has this bright fluorescent orange on his boots and on his ripped tutu shirt thing, I guess. I guess they didn't want to put him in the tutu because it was the 90s and people were scared that children would get confused if they saw a superhero wearing a tutu. I don't know. But yeah, also one of the details on this I think is really funny is that his boot here is split and you can see his like little toes sticking through. I think that's hilarious. His other boot here has slime dripping on it. And then one of the things I always loved was that his left eye, his saggy, gross eye here, glows in the dark as well. So that's really cool. And then I always thought it was funny. I was like, why is he wearing a bandana? And then in one of the episodes, he puts it on. I believe it's episode 4. He says, "I saw a guy do it in a movie," and there was like a jab, not a jab, but it was like a reference to Rambo. And then one of the Toxic Crusaders says, "Oh, Bruce Springsteen." So I got a really big kick out of that. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, that's our Toxie figure. So now I'm gonna open one of the other good guys here, and then we can get into the other good guys stuff as well. So we got Junkyard here. Again, I won't get too deep into all the packaging, but yeah, it's pretty much the same. You know, it's got the comic on there, the rundown of the accessories, other figures, and then the bio for said figure. This is Junkyard. Junkyard is really one of the figures I've always wanted. This is the first time I'll ever be able to open him or own him, so I am very excited. I always liked like werewolf figures and stuff like that. So Junkyard is he was a dog and a homeless man that got fused together after the homeless man took refuge inside of Junkyard's kennel, and the kennel was covered in radioactive material, and then to make matters even worse, it got struck by lightning. So what a day. And then for that to get fused to a dog after that. So it's like part man, part dog. Such a weird concept. But you know, most 90s toy type of things were very weird. So in that commercial, you saw him undo his tongue. So we'll try out the action feature right now. So I'm going to roll up his tongue, and I'm gonna keep it inside the mouth here, and then yeah, there you go. Now I'll try it this way. Here we go. I'll roll it up again. Maybe it'll work better over than under. Okay, so yeah. Oh, guess not. There we go. So yeah, really awesome. His tongue is made out of a very rubbery material, and it's still good since being in the package since the 1990. So that's actually really nice that it's still got it's still nice rubber and it hasn't like deteriorated at all or anything. So again, with the articulation, much of the same old that you'd see with a normal TMNT figure, or in this case a Toxic Crusaders line figure. Ball jointed legs, single jointed arms. On him he has swivels and one wrist turn, and his tail is also articulated. Now, when I'm looking at him, the first thing that really sticks out to me is probably the sculpt again. He's got amazing detail. The paint deco might not be the best because the Playmates kind of always did that, where they focus the paint on the front and then they kind of let all the details in the back, like how he's got some like bones sticking out of his tail. He's got like a little bandage on his tail here and stuff. Really cute, really weird. But yeah, they didn't really paint stuff like that. Like he's got this hunchback here and like some fur sticking out. But they didn't paint that. They just left it the yellow of the plastic that it is cast in. So that's pretty typical. That's pretty common. Yeah, what a really cool figure. I really like this guy a lot. Okay, I think the tail is there to help him stand. Really awesome. This is awesome. I'm really happy I have him. So let's take a look at some of his accessories here. So he has this. Take a bite out of crime was like a big slogan. What was it? McGruff the dog, I believe it was his name. But this one's take a bite out of grime. Way to go, guys! You really. How long did you guys take to think of that one? That must have been an all-nighter, huh? All-nighter with that big pile of cocaine next to you or something, because damn, that sucks. So he's got his take a bite out of grime, and then I love his gun. It is so weird. It's made out of dog food cans and a beware of dog sign. It says beware of dog here. It's sculpted onto the side. This was pretty typical for Playmates to make wacky, weird kind of guns and accessories for Ninja Turtles and stuff. So it's really cool to see that kind of translate perfectly into this line as well. So yeah, he does hold his gun. So there are kind of a few figures in this line that do not hold their accessories very well whatsoever. Junkyard appears to be one of those people who does actually hold their stuff fairly well. So let's see what else he's got. He does have a bone club, so he's got this giant bone with spikes on it, so I'm assuming that's meant to be like a mace or something. And then he's got his belt here that I believe goes around his waist. It's like a chain, and see, okay, so this is good humor. This is like the humor of the Ninja Turtles line and the Toxic Crusaders line. There's a flea, and he has a fork and a knife, just like ready to bite, ready to start feasting on poor Junkyard here. So yeah, you just put on the belt and stuff. So I really like his accessories. I think the dog food cannon is probably the best. And so let's see what his mystery glow-in-the-dark little gift here was. So rip that open, and it's a it's a stick, like a club with a nail through it. So you wouldn't see accessories for toys like this anymore at all. Like you wouldn't, like that's like, oh hey kids, like oh no, it's not a stick, it's a rolled up newspaper. It took me a minute to like actually like break down what it was, but it's a newspaper rolled up with like a little thing on it and then a nail through it. So that's the kind of warped sense of humor. You would hit the dog with like I wouldn't hit a dog with a newspaper now. little squirt bottle would do the same job. So it's a newspaper rolled up with a nail through it. Yeah, that's the sense of humor of Playmates, you know, back then, and their kind of weird, twisted, warped humor. So we'll put Junkyard aside as well. We'll put him to the side here. And then I think we'll take a look at the rest of the good guys. I do have one bad guy boxed, but when we get to the bad guys, we'll look at him. But right now, we'll take a look at these two. So first, we'll look at Major Disaster. So right off the bat, I'll say that this is not his gun. This is from a Ninja Turtle, but because of the green color, I thought, you know, I'm just trying to make him look better. So I picked these. I picked a few of the loose figures up at a recent convention that I went to a couple years ago, and I needed the rest of them. So it was really I was really happy that they had most of them complete and stuff. Like No Zone here, he was complete, so that was really nice. So Major Disaster, he is he's a military soldier who fell into a radioactive swamp. And dang, man, these people have like the worst luck ever. But he's really cool. So his ability is that he controls plants. So he's kind of like Swamp Thing in that way, where he can kind of manipulate / control anything green, anything wood, you know, rapid growth of plants, or, you know, he can control them, you know, they can move and do what he wants and stuff. So that's really cool. He has a really interesting backpack type of feature. I don't know if it's meant to do, I don't know if this is like a feature or not, but like his backpack has like plants in it, and then you can kind of like make it, like you can push this bottom thing here and you can push it out, and it's like it's growing. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of like emulating his power a little bit. So that's kind of cool, right? It's really weird. But then he comes with this this like knife. It's like a trench knife almost. I did a little dry rub on there because I like the detail on there. So I thought it would look really cool with the dry rub on there. And again, you know, simple, same articulation you'd find on a Ninja Turtle or Toxic Crusaders figure, any Playmates at the time. But again, the sculpting on this guy is outstanding. I really like his arm. It's like a weird red color. I think it's supposed to, like, haha, red wood. Oh my god, haha. I think that joke would go over most kids' heads, but it's like a red wood ish arm here. Or maybe it's just, or you could kind of tell yourself that it's like a fleshless arm. But really great sculptural details. Like he has like sliming boots, like he's been like stepping in something, or maybe even like he's like mushy and gross like every time he steps down. But that really helps him stand up as he falls over, I say. But yeah, he does like stand up a little bit better with that on there. And then he's got, you know, all that like military fatigues on and stuff, like the pants and the belt and the helmet and the vest and stuff. But you know, he's got like vines and gross weird stuff growing out of his arms and his face and his helmet. You know, there's like spikes coming through it and stuff. He's even got like stickers, like there's a peace sign on his helmet. I think most of them had stickers on their belt buckles too, like Toxie over here has that globe symbol on his belt there. But yeah, Major Disaster, really cool. And then I'll give him his misplaced green gun here. And yeah, so he was really cool. And then he didn't really have any action features, but then figures like this, No Zone here. No Zone was a test pilot who flew through the ozone layer. Then he crashed into a silo of radioactive pepper. Man, again, I gotta say, these guys have the worst luck possibly imaginable in any cartoon ever. I thought the Ninja Turtles, you know, their accident was kind of a stretch, but these guys, geez Louise. Okay, so No Zone is a very interesting character, and I think you can tell why. It's a little on the nose itself. Ha ha! His power is that he can sneeze. He's got a wind ability, so you know, he like blows the bad guys around with his nose. Oh man, what a weird character. He also has one leg. It has this like wheel. It's also articulated. So that's really weird. So I'll go through some of his accessories, and then we can try out his action feature live right now. So he's got a nose gun. It's like a giant nose cannon, and I'm assuming it says O2 on there, but I'm assuming it like blasts boogers, or maybe it's like an air gun or something. I don't know. It's really weird. And then he's got this nose shield, and then it has a little thing right here in the back, and then holes in the nose, so you could put slime in there, and it'll actually like things like snot will come out of the nose. And same thing with here on his backpack. It's got a nice nose. All of this stuff is sculpted very well, by the way. I mean, needless to say, I've been talking about that the whole time. But yeah, so then you just pull this thing off the top here. It's stuck, but maybe I glued it. I don't know. You fill that up with slime, and it's like a slime container. And then so No-Zone's action feature is you take off his goggles here, and you pack in some slime there, and it actually will come out of his nose. So that's really gross. But I would love to try out Toxie and No-Zone's action feature. This guy's a pain in the ass to get to stand up. Okay, so I brought some slime with me from our slime episode. I couldn't find any green. I couldn't find any green, so I'm sorry. It's just have to be pink. Just imagine it's green, or maybe radioactive material can also be pink. So I think we'll do No-Zone's first, because that makes more sense. I'll use his gun to prop him up here. Okay, so what you do is you just take a little bit of slime here, and there was slime that came with the Toxic Crusaders line. It came in like little radioactive waste barrels. So that was really, really cool that they did that. You know, kind of the same thing with like the Horde slime, and then they also did the same thing for Ninja Turtles, you know, with the retro mutagen. So yeah, like lines like this, especially late 80s, mid to late 80s, early 90s and stuff, that was just kind of the thing to do. It was just like, oh, you know, let's think of a slime feature. Let's do something like that. In the 90s, you know, GAC and Nickelodeon and all that stuff was very, very popular. So I'm trying to like mash this into there. It is kind of coming out. He's got like one nostril's full of snot here. I'm waiting for the other one to kind of come through. There we go. Oh, okay. So now that I got it kind of coming through, you take the rest of his goggle here, and this acts as like a plunger to kind of like mush it and to get it to come out. Look at that. There it is. Oh man. Oh, No-Zone tissue. So that is really, really cool. That is like, it's a subtle but yet very entertaining action feature for this guy. Like, it's like nothing like, oh man, it's crazy. It's nothing like the slime pit or an Oozit or something. But damn if that's not entertaining to look at. Really, really cool. I think I'll leave him like that for the rest of the review. I think I'll just leave him there without a tissue. Sorry, buddy. So then also Toxie here had a action feature, or not him, but more so his mop. So you take off the top of Toxie's mop here. You saw it in the commercial, that first commercial that I showed. So this slime is like really a huge pain in the butt to try and get to do stuff. So let's see. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. Let's put it in the mop. We'll see if that works better in the mop head here. And then what you do is you're supposed to like push it through. Oh yeah, okay, it is working. All right, so you just put it in Toxie's hand here, and let's recreate the commercial, huh? I'm Dr. Killamoff. Don't forget that I have a doctorate. And then Toxie's like, hey, how about a face full of slime, huh? And so, there we go. So you push the plunger down, the mop head down onto the stick, and all the slime will come out, and then you can kind of rub the slime on them. I don't know. The playability is kind of like up to your imagination. So what I think is a better look is if you just kind of like drape the mop in said slime and watch it kind of just ooze on top of it from there. See, doesn't that look better? I think it just kind of looks a little bit better. There we go. That's the better look. So yeah, so it had a very light playability when it came to slime and stuff, but nonetheless, they did sell their own barrel of slime with the Toxic Avenger figures, or Toxic Crusader, I should say, figures as well. So that's really, really cool. And now I think we'll move on to the bad guys. Let's start out with the packaged one that I have, because on the way here he almost came out. So we have Psycho here. Psycho is he is the obese biomechanical character with the ability to guess exactly how the episode will play out. He always has this, like, Toxic Crusaders was very meta, where they constantly kind of refer to it as a cartoon. They talk about what episode they're in and stuff all the time. So I find that very funny and very amusing, actually. But Psycho he would always kind of mention, he's like, oh, so the Toxie is gonna, ruin your plan by doing this, sort of thing. So so I always thought that was pretty humorous. So we'll take him out of his package. He's insane looking. He's got these cords all over the place. His sculpt is just off the wall nuts. He's got a mechanical leg with this gigantic kneecap. He's got this robotic arm here, and it goes up and down. He's got articulation here. As you saw, it can actually come apart. So that's kind of cool. And then he's got a plethora here of accessories that we'll take a look at. So first off is he's got some pink tubes, and he's got this weird helmet. So, okay, I think, so what we'll do is we'll take off this, and we'll put, I think they go through here, I'm assuming. And then we'll put this one, wow, really to make it a real pain in the ass. Okay, okay, here we go. Not working. Here, I'll put on his helmet afterwards, after I get all of his other things taken care of. I didn't own this guy either, so I don't really know anything about him as a toy, I should say. So he's got this like boot cover, like a metal boot cover for his secret glow-in-the-dark accessory. Look at that, just a loafer, sandal. He's got a spiked croc to wear. What a that's really dumb. So let's try this again with the helmet. I'll put these through here, and then I'll try and get this other pink one through here. And then we're gonna waste some of our precious, valuable time on the internet here. Okay, so I got it on. Guys. Here we go. Okay, so he's got this like weird gas mask thing, which I actually think he looks better with the mask on. Oh, keep the mask on, baby. And then he's got his like laser thing, and then he's got this holes in the back here. So we'll plug these pink tubes into his back. Right here. Let's try this end. And then, yeah, they should plug into his gun here. Yep, okay. And then they go into his back. Oh, into his arm. Duh, okay, Jesus. All right, so yeah, so the tube goes into his arm there, so that's really cool. And then he's got this other accessory, which is like a weird saw. So, I feel like they didn't really know what to give this guy. His tubes don't stay into his back or into his arm very well, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bother with it. But yeah, still really cool figure. Gotta have the main henchman of the bad guy, because you know what bad guy force isn't complete without the main henchman guy. So that's really cool. Definitely not one of my favorite figures in the line, but he's still really entertaining looking. He's still very brightly colored, still has some pretty interesting accessories and stuff, so that's really cool. So we'll put our bad guy over here. I'll clear off the table, and we'll bring out some other ones that I have. Let's see, who do I want to show off next? We'll do the main bad guy. We'll do Dr. Killmoff. So here's Dr. Killmoff. So Dr. Killmoff, the main villain of the show, and he comes from planet Smogula, and he brings up that he has a doctorate a lot. So in the show they'll go, oh, back to what back to what Killmoff is doing, and he'll like turn to the screen or something, and he'll go, that's Dr. Killmoff to you. Or if anyone doesn't bring up the fact that he's a doctor, he'll have to point it out to them. Dr. Killmoff, as a figure, pretty interesting. He has 4 arms. I mean, he's an alien, so he's got to have some interesting weirdness like that. None of these knives are his, but I just thought it was very entertaining to put something in every one of his hands. So I display him like that. He originally came with a cape, but the cape is very, I don't think it's not very good quality. And this one that I bought didn't come with the cape, so he just has his weird breathing apparatus thing, which is it's like a pipe organ. And what I always thought was weird is that it has a hole on top of here. So like, are you to fill it with water and squirt it somewhere or something? I don't know. I guess it's just kind of whatever you want to do with it, I guess. But yeah, it does have these green tubes that go down and they connect to his face here, like his like little triangle breathing apparatus thing he's got here. As for like articulation and stuff, he's got which is interesting that he doesn't have the normal articulation. He just has a T-crotch, as it's known, instead of the ball-jointed legs. So that's interesting. And then his arms, they all do articulate up and down. His top arms here do have swivels at the elbow. And for his accessory, I have his green glow-in-the-dark blaster cannon type of thing. But he's the type of character who doesn't really get his hands dirty, so giving him stuff was kind of weird. But I guess I get it because he does have 4 arms and stuff. So as a kid, you're like, well, what do I do with this guy? so putting stuff in his hands, and that's kind of just typical. But the thing I did want to talk about this guy is his look, his aesthetic. He's got like big, humongous shoulder pads, and I love how he's got like forked feet. He's got like 2 giant toes, but still he has like the wing-tipped Oxfords on. So he's got like alien Oxfords on. And then his tie is like mechanical looking, which is weird. And then he's got a radioactive sign for a button, a lapel. And then his cufflinks are all like very mechanical looking and stuff. So yeah, very weird. And then on a lot of these figures, they had like paint splatter or like dripping and stuff. So a lot of these figures have like paint splatter all over them and stuff from the factory. So they kind of just made it look like they tried to add like a little extra aspect to the painting. So I can definitely respect that. And then we're going to look at the Radiation Rangers. So I have a complete Radiation Ranger here, or not complete. He's missing some tubes and stuff. But this is the cannon fodder of the show. This is like the putties from Ninja Turtles, or this is the foot soldier from Ninja Turtles. They're both the Ninja Turtle foot soldier action figure was also like mutatedly hunched over for some reason. So these guys have like a very hunched over type of pose. They do have the ball jointed legs, which is nice, and then they twist at the elbow and they bend up and down. His accessories are, he has this, I think this guy has some of the coolest accessories. I love his shield. It's just a toxic waste barrel, which is pretty awesome. And then his backpack is like a radioactive powered thing. And I'm assuming he has these like glow in the dark things that come off. I'm assuming they're like landmines or bombs or something. I don't know. Your imagination is key here, I guess, for playing. And then he has his gun. And the only way I can get him to hold it is if he holds it backwards. So... yeah, so that's what. Here, I'll rip it off of them. There we go. This is what the actual gun looks like. But yeah, some of the sculpting details on these guys are just incredible. So I really enjoy these figures. The bad guys, especially, they have really cool accessories and look really cool. And so I do have another Radiation Ranger, but this is one that I've customized to be a different type. So he's like a sludge slinger. So he has this this backpack here, in green tubes, kind of coming all over the place, and he has the gun here, and he basically sprays toxic goo or toxic waste all over the place. So I just wanted variety in my figure, so I painted him green and kind of just did him a different deco, gave him a different accessories and stuff. Nothing too crazy, but yeah, I thought it was cool. To kind of to do that. So, this was before I ever had this Radiation Ranger. So I just wanted to, customize mine, make it look a little different and stuff. So now I have two different kinds. So we'll also take a look at some of the other customs of Toxic Crusader customs that I've done out of the figures and stuff. So yeah, also very, very, very cool. And then finally, our last bad guy, the other one that I first got when I was a kid, Bonehead. So Bonehead is like, he's like the other main henchman, and Bonehead is I think he's kind of like, he's supposed to be like Bozo or something from the movie. He was like a bully that picked on Melvin in the cartoon, and then also when he goes after him again, he gets thrown into toxic acid rain barrel. That's what it was. One of the bullies responsible for Melvin becoming Toxie and goes after Toxie and is thrown in a barrel of acid rain. He gets his gross, disgusting bone-like features from said acid rain. He's got really great sculptural details on his face, on his rib cage and stuff, and he glows in the dark. His head glows in the dark, and I believe he has glow-in-the-dark paint on him. This guy was always one of my favorites because I loved the fact that it's very small details here, but there's space between his arms, so like you can see his like arm bone like sticking out, and there's like space between those, like an empty space and stuff. So I always thought that was really, really cool. I always really liked the tire tread on his back, and he had the coolest accessories. So I'm missing two of his accessories. He came with a glow-in-the-dark gas mask. That's what his glow-in-the-dark accessory was. All of his accessories glue in the dark, so whatever. And then he came with a bone knife, which was really cool, and he comes with a bone gun here. We'll stick that in his arm, and then he has like this cannon, this giant looking glow in the dark cannon for him as well. So that's really cool. Yeah, Bonehead. He's like the cool villain, he's like the cool one that you want. That's the guy. He's like Ghost Rider, zombie Ghost Rider, like these are the kind of toys that just really spoke to me when I was younger. So seeing stuff like that, I was always like, oh, what's this guy? What's his deal? And making up things, and when you're playing and stuff like that, that's like half the fun as well. So, but I wanted to feature a vehicle in this line because there were some really great vehicles in this line, so I wanted to feature at least one. So I got myself the Smog cycle. This is Bonehead's vehicle. This again, really awesome packaging. So this is what their boxed packaging would look like. Incredible art on the front here. I love the painting. Like, look at the background there. It's like like the city just spewing smoke out of there, and then him on his motorcycle, and it looks like the cannons like shoot out acid rain recoiling rocket guns is what it's called. It says here on the back, and then yeah, we'll look at the back. It has a rundown of the bike itself, a picture, and then has a gigantic long thing on the side here. And then it even has a picture of the toxic waste that it would come with and stuff. So that's really cool. So let's rip this out of the box. Let's drive it out of the box. And then yeah, we'll take a look at the Smog cycle. So look at this thing. This is really, really cool. I really, really like the details on this. Like, just insane. Like, that is crazy. It's brightly colored. It has some really cool details on there. I like the wheels there, and the rockets on the side here. It's got like a little nuclear reactor on the back here, like one of those nuclear stacks, like what the factories, what the power plants look like, a nuclear power plant. It's like a little mini one on top here, and then it has a bomb next to it with a little wick. The Smog hog, It's got it on his flag here with a little skull at the top. Just so many. This is kind of like what, you know, like a Ninja Turtles vehicles and stuff had a similar attention to detail and amount of the sculptural details and stuff. And then we'll take a look at the on the tanks here. They each say something different: sulfuric acid, petroleum, ammonia. You know, it's like everything bad for the environment, because that's what the bad guys were all about. We're polluting and toxifying the environment. So let's just put our bonehead on the Smog cycle. I think, yeah, okay. So there's like a couple different ways, you know, you can put them on here. I think this is my preferred way, so we can actually hang on to the handlebars. But yeah, he looks really, really cool on there. There was also like this clicking thing for the front tire, but it annoyed the living hell out of me, so I removed it. So, you know, maybe I'm not a purist, but I did remove the clicking noise to simulate a motorcycle. It was really, really annoying. I don't know, maybe just a pet peeve of mine or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think this is awesome. It even has him on the back here, on the very back. It has like a skull version of him. There's still stuff I'm noticing on here. You know, like the front is like a gas mask and stuff. So that's really cool. I would like to get one of the heroes vehicles as well, so I have, you know, one hero vehicle, one bad guy vehicle. But this is a great start, and I'm glad I can show it off on this show here. Look at those exhaust pipes. This is nuts. So it really is about, this thing is really designed to destroy the environment. Yeah, so very, very cool. I really like the whole aesthetic of this line, the whole design aspect of it, and that it was given to Playmates and that they could kind of take it as far as they did, which is really, really cool, because, you know, I just don't think they make toys like this anymore, and that it's just really awesome to see stuff like this, you know, and to do a video like this again. So I have a couple other things to show you guys. I wanted to talk about this really quick before we move on to anything else. There was a unproduced giant walking Godzilla type of monster made of trash and toxic waste called Pluto. And he was a giant, you know, you can see it right here. That thing is so awesome. The fact that it never got produced is such a tragedy. I mean, look at that thing. It's awesome. It's oozing. It's like black sludge all over it. That looks like some prime slime right there. Nothing you could get today's standards of slime. But yeah, I love that he had like little barrels on his ankles and stuff like that. He was like motorized, so he would like walk. So, you know, you can like set him in front of all your Toxic Crusaders figures, just turn them on and just plow right through them all. So I think that's really cool, and it's a shame that they never made it. Now that I'm a toy designer, maybe I might design something kind of like Pluto. Or someone else could. You know, I'm not. You know, I won't sue you if Troma doesn't sue you for trying to make their unproduced toy. But yeah, finally, I have two more things to show you guys before we wrap it up. So this is an interesting figure. So this is a giant Toxie. This is, I think he's closer to the 9-10 inch scale over here. So let's look at this packaging. So it's Toxic Crusaders here. My sticker, I put that there. A Toxie sticker that I made. But something's missing. Something's different. It doesn't. There's no Playmates logo, is there? I think this might be a bootleg, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure. If you know for sure it isn't a bootleg, please let me know. But I'm almost like pretty positive it is, just because of the quality. So I did say that I should mention this, that I did. I'll put it down here. I didn't know what to do with it. I did paint this figure, so he didn't come out this way right out the box. So I painted my Toxie this way. I used an airbrush. You know, he's got the greens and I did the pink because I wanted him that to be like represent the pink tutu. And he's got his giant mop here. So I find this very interesting. So the leg articulation, it's like swivels. So it's like they used a mold, because when his legs are like closer together, he looks like he has to pee really bad. He's like, oh. And then when you like bend his legs, he like doesn't want to stand up. He's like old man Toxie. He needs his mop to stand up. But I just think it's very interesting. I'm pretty sure this is a bootleg because there's nothing on the bottom of the feet, nothing that say Playmates or Trauma or any date or anything like that, nothing on the butt. So I think he's a bootleg because of the quality as well. He does feel like the mop here. It feels like a blow mold. Like it feels very hollow. Like I could probably break it in my hand if I could crush it. But yeah, I think this is very interesting. When I saw it, I was like, "There's a giant Toxie figure? What?" Like, so I had to get it right away. And the paint on mine was like disgusting and gross looking, and he was supposed to look like Toxie, but it just didn't look that good. So I took a little liberties of myself, and I did some customs, and I also put one of my pins on his shirt there. One of my very first pins of my little logo there. Weird bootleg Toxie, very cool. You could probably track one of these down on eBay if you like really want one. I'm sure you could probably find one. Definitely try and track this weird, obscure oddity of the Toxic Crusaders toy line. And then I did say that I wanted to show off some of those customs that I made, so I think that's a good time to do this right now. Let's do a little comparison time, shall we? So I have a couple Toxie figures that I've customized. So here's my first one. So very similar to that Toxie that I just showed you, I did my own repaint of a classic Toxie figure. So I did glow-in-the-dark paint on the mop head, so when it's dark, it'll glow in the dark because of all the radioactive material he's used on it. And then I did do the pink tutu again on him, and the bright green on the skin, and I did a really cool purple for his little sweatband he's got here, his boots, and his Rambo band. So let's take a look at him compared to the other Toxie. So this is the regular Toxie and our special custom Toxie here. So I still want to do another Toxie that's more realistically painted like from the movie. So I think I might leave this current Toxie by just how it is by himself, and then maybe I'll find a loose one with like no accessories, or maybe just the mop accessory or something, and I'll try and paint him to look more like the movie version of Toxic Avenger. So I'm going to move him over, and then we have another Toxie figure, but this isn't Toxie. This is Rick Taylor from the game Splatterhouse. I am obsessed with making customs of only using toys from Playmates. So Playmates made, like I said before, they made Star Trek, Dick Tracy, and Toxic Crusaders and Ninja Turtles. And within those toy lines, I try to find figures that I can kit bash together to make a character from a horror movie or something that I wanted. So I wanted to make Rick Taylor from the game Splatterhouse because I absolutely love that game. So I gave him a little axe here. I broke my own rule. This is from a Friday the 13th figure, but I just like how it looked with him. But this is from the Pizza Chef from the Ninja Turtles line. So he has his butcher knife, his main, like I would say, like his most iconic weapon besides the giant bone from Splatterhouse 2. But yeah, so what I did was I completely repainted him. I took a Casey Jones head and I dremeled the shit out of it till I only got the mask left. I painted the mask silver, then I dremeled this poor Toxie's face down to nothing, and I glued that on there. And the strap from his headband actually came in nicely there, because then it actually like looks like it's a sculpted detail onto the figurehead. And then I also painted him a nice skin tone color, but I did some like washes on there with red and did some green and stuff. And now I know Rick wears like a jumpsuit, but I don't know why. I just decided to do brown pants. Maybe I'll go back and like paint him to be more Rick Taylor-esque, with like a blue jumpsuit, or maybe like a green, like a dark green one or something like that. But that's what I did right now. So I used Casey Jones legs for this one actually, because I wanted the sneakers, and the Toxie here. You can see that his legs are very exposed and stuff, but I wanted more of a complete pant leg sort of look. There's like rips on the knees here, but nothing as crazy as the other Toxie figure. And I just wanted regular sneakers and stuff. So yeah, the Casey Jones legs actually fit on the ball joints for this. So if you ever want to make your own Rick Taylor figure out there, this is a good template to start off of, I guess, if you really want to do what I did here. And if you did, I'd love to see it. That'd be really cool. At VideoVomit, tag me in it. But yeah, so we got our 3 different variety of Toxie here, so I think that's really, really cool. Yeah, I hope to make more because I really enjoy this. I really enjoy the Toxic Crusaders a lot, and doing repaints and customs and stuff. And then finally, our last custom of the day is a custom character figure I made using the Bonehead figure. And so we'll do a little comparison, Bonehead to Bonehead here. Again, I kit bash a lot of custom figures in that kind of way. So what I did was I updated his articulation in his arm a little bit better. So he has like a ninja arm that I kit bashed, and that has articulation here. And I also made some articulation for his arm right here. So I call him the Toxic Rider. So it's like based on the Super Sentai Kamen Rider, Masked Rider kind of live action TV show. I took the Super Kamen Rider vinyl toy head and I attached it to the neck of a Bonehead here, and so I wanted to make like an original character. And so this figure actually inspired me to do an actual design for a toy. So I actually have a Toxic Rider like toy design in the pipeline right now. I'd love to get it made, but we'll see what the future holds. But yeah, because I like that Bonehead figure so much as a kid, I wanted to do a custom where I made something, with him and involving him and stuff. So yeah, just a weird little custom figure that I wanted to, because it was somewhat Toxic Crusaders related, so I just thought I could bring it on. Who knows? I don't know if you guys even care or not, but yeah. So there it is. We got a whole table full of toys now. And then finally, our very last thing of the day, Super 7, they make a lot of their reaction carded figures. They do a lot of movies, they do a lot of TV shows, they do a lot of, like the Universal Monsters. I'm pretty sure, they make a lot of those disgusting, horrible pop figures, but they also do a lot of the 3 3/4 vintage Kenner style figures, and they decided to do a Toxic Avenger figure. So they teamed up with Troma to do this figure, and what a cool little, I love him. He's really cute, actually. I really like how he turned out. So this is the Toxic Crusaders version. It would have been cool if they did a Toxic Crusaders style card, but they kind of did it more or less off of the VHS cover. So we can compare here. Those are exact. This is the Video Treasures cover, by the way. This is the this is the unrated version, which is the white cover. The black cover is the R-rated version, which has quite a bit of it cut out. Even though the black cover is pretty rare, the white version is the one to go with. Otherwise, if you don't have a VHS, the Blu-ray is the best way to go. Or the Green Ray. So yeah, I just wanted to show off that art. I thought that was really cool. But I got 2 of these, so I could paint one that looks realistic. But I didn't bring them with for some reason. I forgot like one thing. But yeah, so I thought this was worth mentioning. I also think it's really cool. There's a Toxie eye mask you can cut off the back there. I thought that was really cool. But kudos to Super 7 for doing something so obscure, and that it tickles that little part of my heart, that giant hole where the Toxic Crusaders used to be. So yeah, that is well, guys, that's our show for today. Toxic Avenger is one of my favorite movies. Toxic Crusaders is one of my favorite toy lines of all time. It's really one of my favorite toy lines that's ever been made, because of the story, like the Toxic Avenger movie, and then like the small weirdness that kind of happened to come along, and they decided to make a cartoon out of it. They decided to make a toy line out of it, and ended up not doing so well and not going anywhere. But it's part of the early 90s, and the Toxic Avenger movie is part of the 80s, and it's so important to a lot of people. So it's really cool that I got to talk about this. And I, you know, when I said that I was doing this, a lot of people were very interested and very stoked that I was doing it. So that made me feel pretty good too, that we all get to bond on something that we all really, really like, whether it's the Toxic Avenger movie, the Toxic Crusaders cartoon, or the toy line, you know. So, or if you just love it all like I do, and you gotta have everything Toxic Avenger, you gotta have everything Troma, you gotta have every different cover of a Troma VHS possible. I'd also like to thank Lloyd Kaufman and Michael Hertz for making Toxie and making Troma so great. And thank you to everyone who's watching the show. I've been getting a lot of shout outs from people lately saying that they love the show and stuff, so that's really cool. Thank you so much for watching. This show wouldn't go anywhere without you, so keep watching, keep binging, keep doing everything. More likes, more subscribes, please. While that's in my mouth, I'll say if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to stay up to date on any of the videos that we have coming up, hit the subscribe button so then you can always know if we go live or if we upload something. You can also follow me, VideoVomit, on Instagram at VideoVomit. And remember to recycle. And until next time, guys, see you later.